President Trump paid a visit to the southern border Friday and delivered this message to migrants hoping to enter the United States: turn around. CBS News national correspondent Chip Reid reports from Calexico, California.
It looks great. It's better and much more effective than the previous wall.
President Trump today toured a 2-mile section of border wall completed last fall in Calexico, California. A plaque proudly decrees that this is the first section of President Trump's border wall.
We are completely overwhelmed as agents and as an agency.
During a discussion with border officials, he was told border agents simply can't handle the recent flood of migrants coming through Mexico from El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala. The president said he has a message for those coming or thinking about coming to the U.S., including those who say they are being persecuted in their own countries and are seeking asylum.
We can't take you. Our country is full. Our area is full. The sector is full. Can't take you anymore. I'm sorry.
Mr. Trump added that some aren't legitimately seeking asylum.
They're gang members. They're not afraid of anything. It's a scam, okay? It's a scam. It's a hoax.
Last week, the president prompted widespread speculation that he would use this visit to announce the closure of the entire border.
I'm telling you right now, we will close the damn border. And we'll keep it closed for a long time. I'm not playing games.
But today he mentioned closing the border only as a possibility in the distant future.
And if that doesn't work, which it will, we'll close the border.
That's in part because his own advisors, business leaders, and Republican members of Congress told him it would be a disastrous mistake.
Closing down the border would have potentially catastrophic economic impact on our country.
Chip Reid joins me now from Calexico, California. Chip, good to see you. What came of the president's meeting with law enforcement officials today in California?
Well, it was a typical meeting for him with law enforcement where it almost feels like a competition where each person who speaks is trying to agree with the president more than the person who spoke before. So it really is a love fest with people firmly agreeing. I'm not saying that they are inaccurately portraying how they feel, but there is not a word said in these meetings that would be anything the president would be upset about. He was very glad to hear that everybody fully agreed that there is an incredibly important crisis here at the border, and that all of the president's prescriptions for fixing it are what they agree with. So very much a meeting of minds in that meeting today.
Yeah, it really made me wonder what would happen if somebody came up there and was off script and spoke off the narrative. You
it could be trouble.
Right.
It could be big trouble.
You also mentioned in your piece that the president was happy with the fencing that's he toured in Calexico. What's the overall status of his border wall? Has anything actually been built that's new?
Well, a lot of replacement wall has been built. This 2 miles, for example. When I say a lot, a very small percentage of the whole wall, but several miles of replacement wall have been built. There was another wall right here. It was shorter and a bit old, and so they replaced it. By the way, one thing he didn't mention, of course he didn't mention, and nobody did, the planning for this wall started under President Barack Obama. That is certainly nothing that he would brag about. And down here is a plaque with President Trump's name on it, saying that this is the first piece, the first section of President Trump's border wall. But in terms of new wall, I am not aware, and we have asked, but I'm not aware of any wall that is brand new that did not exist before. It's all been replacement so far as we can tell. But the representative of the Army Corps of Engineers here today, who plays a huge role in this, made a list of, or told the president a list of all the different miles and miles of wall that are under contract now. So if they do get the money for that, then certainly they will make some progress. And I assume some of that is new wall and not all replacement, but I can't tell you that I'm absolutely sure of that. We'll have to wait and see.
Chip, President Trump cites Mexico's immigrant apprehension efforts as being, quote, absolutely terrific for the last 4 days. I think a lot of people are really confused about what's happening. He says this is contributing to his decision not to close the southern border. What's the president referring to? Is there any evidence that Mexico's actually doing anything?
We have asked the White House for evidence, and we have not seen it. Now, he's not talking about what's happening on this border, at this wall, or any portion of the border between the United States and Mexico. He's talking about what's happening on the southern border of Mexico. What he's saying is that people from El Salvador, Honduras, and Guatemala are being picked up by the Mexican authorities and taken back, or pointed in the direction and say go back to their countries. They're not being allowed to come in and stay in Mexico. So that is what the president's talking about. But he's only started talking about this recently, and we have not seen evidence of a change. A lot of people believe that it's the president just making an excuse for backing off on his promise to shut down the wall, when the real reason is because it would be economically devastating were he to do so.
Sure would. We're talking about billions of dollars and a lot of jobs. All right, Chip Reid on the border, southern border with Mexico. Chip Reid, thank you very much.
You bet.